All right, hi there. Hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have this warm-up activity before our graphite drawing, which this time is going to be a rose with a bokeh background, and we'll get into that. Everybody's going to have one of these eyes, and that's your reference to where to get the mediums, darks, and lights, and edges, and gradations, and so on. Everybody's going to have access to one of these eyes, so everybody works the same size, and you're just going to trace this lightly on a piece of cardstock or Bristol board, whatever we're working on. And then I have one started here, but there's going to be more to it than this. So what you're going to do is, with your good shading pencils, start to get into, and mostly with your 3B pencil, you're going to get into the soft shading and so on. Remember, we're always going to use those shading rules. Also remember that whenever you want to let something fade away, hold that pencil farther back. All those things we've learned and practiced before in especially Art 1 and in different assignments in the Art 2 class. So you can see this is going, but, and the background right back here, I'll show you about that in a minute or two. This is going fine. I really want you not to be afraid to go dark where it's dark. And one of the tools we're going to use to do that is a black colored pencil on top of graphite. So I went with the graphite for the most part, but I can go darker. I have not pressed as hard as I can with the 3B. That'll get darker still. What I want you guys to do, and it's good to have a piece of paper to cover. This crease, let me show you this. This crease right above the eye gets really dark, really dark. And I think right now that could be through, where the skin tone kind of has that little indent in it and where it fades away right there. But that crease is really dark, as well as some other parts. So we're going to use some black colored pencil to really add some drama to this. And again, I'll just do a little bit, and I'll finish it off, and I'll show it to you in the slides. But again, we're going to really look at our resource carefully and see where the thicker part of that crease is and how it kind of bends down and how it kind of tapers away and fades away. But I tell you, the black colored pencil is handy because you can really get a good dark. And also what happens is, with graphite, when you press really hard with a dark graphite pencil, you may have noticed it has kind of a mirror shiny effect to it. And the black colored pencil won't do that, or it will not do it as much, that's for sure. So here you have to let your your colored pencil, be careful with how you apply the soft stuff. Down in here, let me show you this. I'm going to go a little bit darker in here and in here. There's another tool I have to talk to you about too while we're doing this. There's going to be a couple different things going on with this drawing. So I can come down here and now softly do some black on top of the graphite. And I'll do just a little bit, just a little section of it that my resource says that it's a little bit, has a little bit of darker shading just above the eyelid as well. That kind of fades away. Okay, now my resource tells me, once again, that there's a really good darkness going across the eyelid. We're going to use some of this colored pencil in the iris as well. It really has a good darkness right on the inside the tear duct, around the tear duct, and sometimes you almost just have to draw that line with maybe a little bit of softening and let the graphite, the gray of the graphite, kind of do the rest of the work. So here I'm softening it. Here I'm going to let it soften on the way down to get that little shadow. The pupil, I'll just do part of it. This is kind of dark, but look how much darker this is with the black color pencil. Now I'm pressing really hard. I won't even do it all, just so you can see kind of the before and after. Remember, with with an iris, a lot of times we will use that shadow effect along the top and let that fade down. And we'll emphasize some of the lines. We'll do a few more things as well. On this side, it'll fade, it'll come down and work around the reflection. But it stays pretty dark for a little bit. And again, we're trying to draw that eye that you have as a reference. Down here, it starts to fade away, about a third to halfway down. Same thing over here. This will fade away. It'll fade into the graphite that you've already applied. Okay, so remember we have some of these little muscles and things. We can help add a little more contrast with those. Do a little bit of shading right here. So hopefully you're getting a sense of how much stronger this is. And the darker you make these darks, the more white the white of the eye is going to look. I'm going to hold it farther back and just get a little soft feathering going on. Same thing could happen down in here. And the same thing could happen on the eyelashes. And I'll do just a few. And again, let me finish this off camera. Maybe I'll bring it back to the last moment of the video. So that's going to be nice and dark. And I'm leaving a little bit of the graphite outside of that, just to let it be soft. Up here in the eyebrow, I can bring in some darker lines, again, to help it give us some more depth. I'm not filling it in completely. I'm still letting the white of the paper show through a bit. So hopefully you kind of get it looks kind of odd now that when it's just partially done. I mean, I could throw a little more black in that side, this little indent, if I wanted to. Okay, so I would suggest that you just work on the eye and try to get all of the gradations around that crease. Get that highlight right in the middle there. Whoops, I forgot to do just a few eyelashes. The eyelashes on this are not very long, and they're just kind of these little spikes. Remember the directional change. I'll just put a few of them in there. Let some be a little longer, a little shorter. Remember, they kind of go up here, they turn that way, and then they turn that way toward the outside. So remember, just going to throw a few in here, just very lightly. I'm still going to do some pencil work over that. See how the direction that they change. And same thing with the eyebrows. The bottom eyelashes. I'm going to just kind of put a few of them. Again, just to kind of indicate how they change direction. Hopefully you can see that. Let me come a little closer. So you can kind of see how they change direction. These two, it's called a tortillon. It's also just called a blending stick. It's just some soft paper wrapped up and coming to a point. So when you use this, since it's wrapped up and it's not glued together, you don't want to use it going straight down. It'll just, all those wrapped up pieces will just kind of get sucked back up into the pencil. So you always want to lean it to the side. And what this blending stick will do for you is just help get that blending going. So if I was shading, right in here, carefully, and I could just kind of easily just do some circles and some back and forth and just kind of let it blend away. And I'm pressing very lightly. If you press too hard, it looks really obvious and you don't want that. Another thing you can do is take your 6B pencil and this is what I've done over here on this scratch paper, you make a little bit of a patch you can use the blending stick like a paintbrush. You just kind of pick some up, and then if you wanted to get into some very soft area, let's say I wanted this to kind of fade away a little bit more in a very soft way. So I can just kind of do that and get that soft blend. I could do that, on the tear duct. I'm sorry, not the tear duct, but the inside of the eye over here. After I do some shading, I can let it softly fade away, and I need to pick up some more, it looks like. So you can apply, but it's always think this is that soft quality that you're going to apply this with. Before that, I would typically do some shading and let the shading kind of fade away. Let the shading fade away, and then do a little bit of this. And I'm not done over here yet. I'll do more. While I'm over there, I want to make sure that people see this. That little white line right there. It's almost like a tear has been developing into the eye, and the eyelid is catching it. So make sure to try to capture that. See, I'm starting to go around it right there. But that's just a little thing that I forgot, and there you go. Now you're off and on your way on this.